we're amazed how many folks come, even ones who are strongly encouraged by the court system, or they're given an opportunity to get out of jail early. How many come just playing the game? They just don't want to pay attention to what we're talking about. But then the gospel of Jesus Christ shows up and pierces the darkness, and all of a sudden we're talking about people who are running from the gospel are now running toward the Christ of the gospel, and they're totally changed.
And so when you look at the comparison between Teen Challenge, your success rate somewhere upwards of, 80% or something like that?
Yes, sir, real close to that based on the study that was done years ago. What's interesting about that, of course, someone will say, okay, so what are you comparing that to? Well, there are a lot of studies done as to what the success rate for drug and alcohol programs is. But I could only quote one judge that I spoke to one day when we were talking about one of the guys who needed us, and he was facing 5 to 7 years in prison for many felonies, drug-related, and for 10 years of addiction. And I said to the judge, I said, Judge, on a good day, maybe your success rate for your in-house programs is 10%. And he said to me, he said, I wish it was anywhere near that. It's more like 3%.
Wow.
And that's what our tax dollar is buying. 3% success rate. Matter of fact, 74% of the men and women in prison today will tell you that their crimes have some addiction-related issue. That they're either there because they stole, or they were high when they broke the law, and therefore they're now in prison. 74%, Bob.
Mm-hmm. So here you have the situation where a drug or alcohol or some other addiction, substance abuse, or whatever has resulted in the commission of crime.
Yes.
And then, of course, you have more people that are incarcerated as a result of these crimes being committed. And so you have people that are in prison for years and years. And what if you are able to intervene early enough and get them into a biblically based program such as a Teen Challenge? Sounds like to me that has a great potential to dramatically reduce the crime rate in our nation.
Absolutely. The best, we call it the sweet spot. The sweet spot for us to help this individual is pre-sentencing.
Yeah.
Where hopefully we've been contacted by a family member. The family says, my family member, John or Jane, going before the judge on this day. We contact the judge, we introduce ourselves, we contact the defense lawyer, introduce ourselves along with the DA, and we say, listen, we want to talk to that person and see if he's interested. If he or she are interested, and then we validate that they qualify to come into our program, at that point we then send the judge a letter, say, Judge, here's a good candidate letter, and then the judge has to make a decision, either to jail, which costs somewhere in the area of $30,000 to $60,000 per year per person.
Wow.
Or he comes into our program, which costs the government zero.